Hi, I'm Bruce Bishop from the Chronicle Telegram. I'm here today with Tim Alcorn from AM 930 WEOL and Sean Bennett, sports writer from the Chronicle Telegram. New season, we're back at it again. I can't believe it. It seems like just yesterday we were wrapping things up. There are some changes with conferences. Let's get right into it and start talking about what we can expect this year.
All right, Bruce. Well, before we do that, by the way, speaking of changes, how about a change of scenery for our weekly video shoot? A huge thank you goes out to the folks at Corks and Stubbies. We're going to shoot this right in the restaurant in Amherst every single solitary week. So again, to Corks and Stubbies, a huge thank you. We really appreciate them getting on board for our weekly chat. And Bruce, as you said, a lot of changes insofar as the conferences are concerned. But Sean, before we talk about those changes, let's just look at some of the top teams that we anticipate here in 2015. And I guess the more things change, the more they stay the same per se, because at least from my perspective, and perhaps from yours as well, you're talking the top teams in the area. I think you start again with Avon and Midview.
Yeah, obviously two of the best games in 20 years of covering high school football. The two at the top are the Avon Midview games from last year. Once in the regular season, once in the playoffs. I'm blessed to see both of them. I covered both games, and not much is left those teams. So it's kind of exciting to think about what you're going to see in the installment this year. Maybe 2 installments this year. That'd be nice. But yeah, I am pumped for that Avon Midview game, and I will do whatever I have to make sure that I am in the press box for week 4?
September 18th. I know that's the Friday night.
So we definitely want to be on the sideline watching that one. That I would expect a majorly packed house for that one as well.
And you talk about Avon, a lot of returning starters. Midview, of course, with the great combination, Dustin Crum, Logan Bolin. So I would put those two teams at the top, but certainly some teams that fared well last year, you would think would have good seasons again in 2015. Keystone was a playoff team last year. They've got a big back coming back in Austin Conrad, even though his older brother CJ moved on to Kentucky. You've got a team like Lorain, who will have on opening night on WEOL when they take on Midview. A playoff team last year. They lose a great player in Rashad Berry. He's off to Ohio State to perform for the Buckeyes, but with a young man like Naz Bohannon back and a great coach in Dave McFarland, D1 Coach of the Year in the state last year, I think the Titans are going to be heard from again.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the loss of Rashad was big, and they lost Eddie Williamson, who graduated, their quarterback.
Right.
And they had some skill players go, which Naz has been a lineman in the past, so it's good to have that experience back in the line. But it's really going to be, what about those new skill players when they step into their shoes? Can they fill them? You think that they can, because the one thing that Lorain is filled with is athletic guys who basically know how to play the game, and McFarland is doing such a great job over there. Dave just knows football. He's done it everywhere he's gone. So I really expect Lorain is going to just pick up right where they left off last year.
And one more thing before we talk about some of the top players in the county. I know Bruce last year for week 1 and the first couple of weeks really of the season would ask me about teams to keep an eye on, perhaps teams flying under the radar or looking for improvement. As I look at 2015, I would keep an eye on Firelands. There's a team that went 6-4 last year after an 0-10 year the year before. They've got a lot of young kids back. I think the Falcons could have a really good season. And I think Brookside could be heard from this year. They do have a new coach, but they were very quietly 5-5 with a young team last year.
Well, one of the things is, if you read the Chronicle daily, about 20-some days before the season starts, we start running a daily preview on each of our area teams, because we have 20-some teams. And after I read each one of those, I think this team's going to be great this year. So the writers do a great job of pumping those teams up and thinking great things. But I did happen to read both those stories, and I thought the same as well. Wellington is another team I think that's definitely going to be on the upswing this year after a few down years. I think they've got to go in the right direction. I think it's going to be a really good year for the area as far as football teams go. I think a lot of teams are going to be playing better than they have in the past.
And of course, a playoff team from last year that I didn't mean to leave out, because I think the world of their coach Jason Ward, the Columbia Raiders. He's really turned that into a premier program.
Right. I mean, you're right. Every year they just they know what to do. They're going back to their running roots. They obviously had the Banyas brothers there for a long stretch. One took over right when the other one left off. So they kind of did the spread offense a lot of people are doing. From the quotes I've got from him preseason-wise, it sounds like they're going back to the Woody Hayes, the
smash mouth.
Yes, 3 yards, cloud of dust type offense, which kind of works pretty well in high school football. You know, you can kind of move the ball up and down the field, and you break off one every now and again, and Columbia, I think, is going to have a big year.
We've rattled off several names, but certainly when you talk about some of the top players in the county, the guy who will be on the Chronicle Telegram football preview on Friday, Demario McCall. He's Ohio State bound, perhaps the most electrifying player we've seen in Lorain County in several years.
Yeah, and I got to spend a couple days with Demario. I wrote the story on Demario that's going to be in our Chronicle preview, and Demario, such a good kid, a versatile kid. And the thing that you're going to see in the story is it centers around his speediness. He ran a 4.34 last year. He said he will beat that this year.
Wow.
He plans on winning the 100-meter state championship. But the guy's got big dreams. He's fast. But it's so much more. He is a student of the game. He pulled up his phone and he had literally thousands of videos of his plays and of Rangers plays that he was going through. He studies the game. Wow. He knows the game. He goes over the 100 different options every time plays called in his head as he's walking up to the line, and he kind of figures out the odds when he looks at the defense of which one's going to be the best one to actually play, which has the best chance for success. So he's such a smart kid out there on the field. He's fast. I mean, he is by far, I think, one of the best football players I've ever seen in covering 20 years of this area.
He is fun to watch. Bruce, is there something you wanted to chime in with, or can we just keep going here?
Right on going. I wanted to get my question in about the players to watch this year. So, aside from McCall, who else are we looking for?
Well, certainly Demario would be at the top of the list, but we talked about some of the other ones earlier, Sean. Austin Conrad, a big kid over at Keystone. He's on his way to OU. Crum and Bolin over at Midview, a dynamic duo there. We talked about Avon. Jake Sopko, a Division I quarterback. He's committed to Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. You and I were talking before Bruce got us rolling over here at Corks and Stubbies. D1 players in Lorain County, that number seems to be rising.
Yeah, every year, as I was saying, the numbers are getting bigger. I think we've become kind of a pipeline for colleges. It helps with the social media. Kids are getting their tapes out there. They're getting recognized. The camps are becoming more popular. There's more camps and combines coming around. It's just a matter of guys kind of getting their name out there, and it's happening now. We mentioned with the All Ohio list too. I go through All Ohio list. I've got them on my computer, and I look back, and they were about 3-4 inches long, 15 years ago, and then about 7-8 years ago, they got to about 8 inches long, and now the All Ohio list, we've got probably 40-50 guys that make All Ohio from our area every year.
That's really cool. And of course, Bruce, you started things off by asking about the changes this year. There's several of them, and most notably, conferences. I'm going to miss the West Shore Conference, one of the great conferences rivalry-wise in the area. But as I mentioned in our WEOL Forecast magazine, as sad as I am to see the West Shore go away, how can you not get pumped up about the Southwestern Conference now with Midview, Avon, Ridgeville, Lakewood going into that league with the likes of Amherst, Avon Lake, Westlake, Hope Falls? That's going to be dynamic.
There's no days off in the Southwest Conference.
Right.
There's no team you can overlook. I mean, I try to look through and I say, well, maybe this would be a team that they think they could, but who knows? Last year you saw teams knocking teams off and things like that. And they had a bunch of teams go into the playoffs, and they're bringing over 4 or 3 playoff teams and North Ridgeville from the other team as well, or from the West Shore Conference. Yeah, Southwest Conference is going to be brutal. The thing I kind of missed, though, from a media standpoint was we had EC finally away from that North Coast League, and finally get to travel them. They're back now with the Great Lakes Conference, and they're pretty much playing back in the North Coast League, all in Parma, and with the Holy Name, who was with them in the North Coast League. So we're going to be traveling again as journalists.
I think that move is better for Elyria Catholic.
Yeah, they were a
just
small
compete.
fit. Yeah, they were definitely up there with a bunch of D1 and D2 schools, and they did in football. They did well enough that they were on the cusp of the playoffs every year. They just needed to get that one extra win that they kept not getting. Now they're going to be playing teams that they should be able to compete with week in, week out.
And of course, right in Elyria, the Pioneers are also heading to a new conference.
Yeah, you talk about brutal. The Southwest Conference is brutal for what we've seen in football, but the Northeast Ohio Conference was that mega 18-team conference. Well, it looks like the Elyria and 7 of the best football programs went over and made this Greater Cleveland Conference. I mean, Mentor, Brunswick, Medina. I mean, they just Strongsville. That's definitely going to be a thing where you just cannot look past anybody. Every week, it's going to be just a brutal game.
Well, here we go. We are ready to get it cranked up. Of course, Friday night, 3 games on AM 930 WEOL and on our website, WEOL.com. We've got the Midview at Lorain game on the radio, Stream 2, Elyria and Avon Lake, Stream 3, which of course is our Medina County matchup, Brunswick at Highland, brand new stadium over at Highland. And I know the Chronicle Telegram will be out in full force on Friday night covering games.
10 games I think we'll have in the Blitz, the week 1 Blitz the next day. Obviously, Thursday we'll have our 32-page preview that we have every year. And we like high school football over at the Chronicle.
And we like being here at Corks and Stubbies. This is awesome. We're going to be here every single solitary week, right in downtown Amherst. So if you're looking for a place to go either before or after the game, I can speak for Sean Bennett. We highly recommend Corks and Stubbies. Give it a try. Bruce?
All right, hey, listen, guys. One thing before we wrap things up today. I know how much you love making predictions, Tim. You love.
Why don't you put Bennett on the spot
We're
here?
going to drag him into this one, too. So we'll start right now. Who do you see the team standing at the end? Is there a team that's going to
Which team will go the furthest?
Yep.
I'll say Avon. There goes all my Midview fans.
You like to get in trouble with Midview.
I'll take the other side. I'll say Midview. I think they've got. It wasn't about who they lost. It's like they brought almost everybody back. They're so dynamic. I think they're gonna. And all those kids that were great last year have another year of varsity experience under their belt. I think Midview is going to go pretty far this year.
But as Sean said, wouldn't it be great if they met twice again in 2015?
I think they will.
I think they will too. All right, Bruce.
Great start to the new season, and maybe next time we'll get some lunch.
That would work real well.
All right, guys. Thanks.